Such a phenomenal question that I was asked that I honestly have not heard people being able to formulate it in such a straightforward manner. And that's why I loved it. And that's what I want to bring it to you guys here. Now, this is definitely a question that I myself have asked many times because when we get onto this personal growth, onto the spiritual path, we have those moments of, I want to go back though, but you can't. And so what this person asked, this was inspired, this video was inspired by a client session where the person was just there like, I was happy. I was happy. I was happy. I was joyful. It feels like all these moments where I felt very at peace, they happened when I was asleep, when I didn't do the inner work, when I didn't get into all these things. Then I started looking at my crap and then this Pandora box opened and now I'm just there and I can't go to this whole, I'm not there at the whole you create your reality, whatever, yada yada, and manifestation. I'm just there in this like middle of crap. And what do I do with that? And I don't like it and it doesn't feel good. And that is such a common question because a lot of us experience this as we're coming into this dark night of the soul. There's this, but I want to go back, but I can't. Like with all the things that I now know, right? It's like, all right, trauma stored in the body and all the sicknesses are just, it's like whenever you get sick, you're like there, oh, right, okay, what is it that's actually coming up? What's the emotional, energetic reason behind those symptoms? Whenever you see something in your reality, you're like, oh, right, I created that. Why is this coming up? So you can't unknow that, but you're also in this place of feeling like, well, I don't know exactly how to control it, and it feels like a lot and overwhelming, and I just don't want to experience this. And what do we do with that? There's an actual solution. So the first is not so much the solution yet, but it's just bringing this to awareness. It's a phase. It's a phase. It's not permanent. This is not where you're going to be from now on. And I know what this feels like. I know what it feels like to be, well, this is life now. I did 9 months of intense work with my mentors. And after I came out of this, I wasn't feeling empowered because there was a lot of deep work. Like I was doing a lot of work before then, but then with that and having that support and being, it's really different, the process of when you guide yourself through these practices and when you have someone holding you through it, it's the transformation so much more powerful. And I mean, this is why, I offer my services. This is why I do what I do with clients, because that shift is, you can't compare it when you do it on your own or when you have someone support, especially someone who knows what they're doing. And as I did that work, I came out of it not feeling empowered and like, I'm ready to take on the world. I came out with this, what's the point? What's the point? All your experiences are just about, your internal thing and your belief systems, and that's what you're manifesting. And it's kind of all projections and it doesn't really matter. And what's the point? Now, here's the first trick. Here's the first tool that I'm sharing with you. My ego's go-to is what's the point? That's how I know. Whenever I feel crappy and my ego goes, ugh, what's the point? That's how I know. That's how I know who's talking. That's how I know that the story isn't real, because I know that that question is my mind's go-to. So if you've been, here for a while, you may have heard my story. And there was, before the spiritual shift, there was this whole depression and suicidal depression and really romanticizing what would it, like, how much easier life would be if I wasn't here. My life, but also for just generally life. And it went from this, right, there's no point of living, to, oh, there's no point of living. But it came with, well, now, suicide doesn't seem like an option because that has consequences, spiritual consequences as well. And I'm like, I don't want to pay the price for that in the next lifetime. So I was like, well, there is no point. And it's just, I guess we're just sitting here enjoying until our time is called, and that's life. And so there wasn't this joy of co-creation, of tuning into, the power that I had in me, that we all do. There was just this, what's the point? And things just keep coming up, and like, oh, what's the point of all relationships? To trigger you. What's the point of all your, situations and circumstances? To kind of polish into, to come into wholeness and to clear those, like, the clutter and the triggers, and to tune into what you want. But it didn't seem to me as that, oh, I get to tune into what I want and create my reality. It was like, great, so it's all the same. What's the point? So first, knowing your ego's go-to. Number 2. I had this moment. I want to illustrate this with a story. I had this moment over the weekend. I came home after a fantastic evening, and I noticed that my ring, a wooden ring that I really, really loved, it broke. It cracked. And so I can't wear it anymore because it would ruin any fabric that I wear. And I noticed the ring, and because of the shamanic background, and it was actually a ring with shamanic symbols on it, I went into, wait, what's the symbolism of this? What's the significance of this? And then my friend goes, he just looks at it, he says, well, it just creates space for the new. And I'm like, great. That's all it is. It just happened because it's creating space for the new. And here's what happens. When we are here in the present moment, and let's say we're going through this dark night of the soul, where it's like, but I used to be happy back then. Why did this disappear? And we kind of go into holding on to that old ring, right? I could have so been sad. I'm like, oh my God, this means this, and I got it like in Barcelona, and it was so important to me, and focusing on the lack. Rather than just, oh, it's clear energy for something new. First of all, just understanding that there's a reason why you're not there anymore. There's a reason why that reality wasn't good enough. There's a reason why, on a level, you evoked that awakening. Why you manifested certain people in your life, maybe spiritual teachers, maybe spiritual conversations, maybe a particular book, maybe a song that really woke you up. It didn't just happen to you. You brought that forth because you were missing something. Because that wasn't good enough. So right now, romanticizing from this moment, oh, but it was so great. It wasn't. If it was so great, why didn't you stay there? Because it wasn't in alignment. This is why you're where you are right now. So this is the second tool. Not allowing your mind to go into the past. Oh, but I wish it was different. Do you have a time machine? If you don't have a time machine, there's no point of talking about it. There's no point of thinking about it. There's no point. And then the mind will take you into the future. Because again, it can't be present. The mind, the thinking mind is not able to be in this deep state of presence. So it will take you to the future or to the past. And you want to bring it to right now. Where am I right now? What do I want to be, to create, to embody right now? So this is the third step, the third tool. It's first of all asking yourself the question, am I okay right now? I was like, well, no, because I don't have this and I don't have... That's not being here now. Because all these things don't exist in this present moment. A fantastic teacher, Leonard Jacobson, whose work is all about presence, he was speaking to this group of people and he said to the whole crowd, it's like, who of you have children? And some people raised their hands. And he says, no, you don't. In this moment, no, you don't. The children aren't here. So in this moment, you're not a parent. He was inviting people to deepen into right now. So when you're deeply present, there cannot be a thought of, well, I'm not in this relationship, or I don't have this house, or it doesn't even exist now. So what are you comparing to? You're here right now. Am I okay right now? Did I eat this morning? Or will I eat today? Maybe you don't breakfast. Do I have a roof over my head? Do I have, you're able to watch this right now? Are you okay right now? In most cases, the answer is yes. But the mind will tell you no. It's like, no, well, not quite, because I don't have this right now. Or even like, well, no, because the rent is due tomorrow and I don't have the money right now. And notice how you will always be okay right now. Noticing the mind's dedication to not being here, and using those very tools and techniques against it. And this is actually going to be a whole other video that will be linked after this one. How do we use the ego's tricks that we're so familiar with because it's being used on us all the time? And how do we twist it to use it to our advantage? So on this note, when you're feeling that you're not quite there, but you're not in your past either, can you trust the process? And when there's a part of you, it's like, no, I can't. Just, can that be okay? Can that part of you be allowed to exist? Can the resistance within you be allowed to exist? A client of mine with whom I've been working privately said something so profound. He said, this realization, when you really tune into it, and he goes, I realize it's not about the emotions. It's not about what's coming up. It's our reaction to them. It's actually our rejection of it that is the problem. It's not the emotion itself. The emotion itself isn't that scary. It's not when you feel it fully. And again, there's something that I do in my one-on-one works, and there's a link below if that's something you want to dive deeper in, and we can have a call and see if we're the right fit for each other. Your mind doesn't have to control you. Your mind doesn't have to keep running the show. And most importantly, your mind is not here to make your life miserable unless you allow it. And that is what I wish for you today, this week, taking your power back. Choosing to feel good, choosing to feel abundant, choosing to live as the most powerful version of yourself. Many blessings.